everybody, it's Lacey. Welcome to Paws and Paper. So I am here today starting a new journal, and I wanted to do it with the pages of just a composition book. So my kids have come home from school, and every year at school end, we always end up with all these leftover notebooks that I never know what to do with. So I thought maybe we could try to make a journal from just regular notebook paper instead of like the plain white copy paper. So what I did with this notebook is I just took out all the binding so that I could pull the pages out. And I think 2, 3, 4. I'm going to do like 5 pages per signature. And I'm going to cut them down. As I cut this one down, because this is the book cover that I'm going to use. It's just a really old dictionary, and I love the already grunginess of this. So this is going to be perfect for this grungy journal that I have in mind. And I have an idea of how we're going to get everything all grunged up here. So I am going to cut this down to the size, so I'm going to cut here and here to fit my 6x9 book cover. So I'm going to go do that on my big guillotine, which is way too heavy to move over here. I'll be right back. Okay, so now I have my signatures, and I cut them down roughly to 5 3/4 by 8 3/4, just so it fits in my book here. So now what I want to do is, this is my idea. I am going to leave, I got 5 pages here, so my one signature, I am going to just, I'm just going to crumple and ruffle this up. We're going to make like a, I don't know what I want to call it, like a washed and worn type journal. We're going to actually end up making some kind of like journal stew here. So I want the edges especially. And I'm not being very gentle. I mean, we're going to rough this up. I'm going to take a scissors here and even kind of try to cut into it. Like, see, some of the pages tore already. Now I'm just trying to do anything to rough it up. This is going to be super grungy looking. So tears are going to be good. Crinkles are going to be good. And I've also got some thread, because I don't think it matters how I fold this. I'm just going to fold it in a very rough fashion. I'm going to use some of this thread. This is just whatever thread. I just found a bunch of this in like a thrift store or something. So it's nothing fancy, nothing in particular, nothing that is real, expensive. And I'm going to just, I'm just going to wrap this up in any old way. And we're going to tie it off. And you're probably thinking, what in the heck am I doing? Now, granted, this is just an idea I have in my head. But, okay, here's what we're going to do. I am going to crumple up all my signatures. I think I'm going to do 5. And I'm going to put them in a big stock pot with some tea bags. And we're going to, like, make some journal stew. So let me grab my stock pot here with all my signatures. Move that in. So what I have done, I've crinkled up a bunch of these signatures just in different ways. Some I made really long, some I've just done square. These are all my offcuts, and I just folded them in half and thought, well, we'll see how those turn out when I cook them. And I threw in a bunch of tea bags, and what I'm using here is just like I got this from like Aldi's, just a really inexpensive, or Walmart or Myers, whatever. Really inexpensive tea bags, black tea, because I wanted it to be as dark as possible. And I believe, how many do I got in here? This is a huge pot, but I've got all my papers in there right now. So those are my signatures. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 signatures, I believe. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tea bags, the offcuts. And I also have brought along some linens, and I thought we're just gonna cook everything. So here's just, this is like the edge of a pillowcase. We're just going to throw that in there. Here is just some like lace looking fabric. We're gonna throw that in there. This is the real thin, like this is pillowcase material, bed sheet material, real thin cotton like stuff. Maybe I'm gonna like kind of just throw that under some of the paper. And then I have this, which is just like a curtain panel, but it's got some really pretty like lace stuff on it. And I don't know if I want to dye this or not. Do I want to grunge that up? Why not? Okay, so I'm throwing everything in here, and maybe put some of the papers on top. Okay, this looks pretty wild, don't it? Okay, and then I'm not sure if I'm going to put these in here, but here's what I want to decorate my journal with. So this journal here, I want it to be completely decorated with book pages. And you can see some of my book pages are already really super grungy. I love how they're looking. This is going to be a very grungy style book. But I do have some book pages in here. Like, look at these. These are already very nice and already like have that like caramelized look on them. But some of these are a little bit newer, and these are a little bit thicker. I don't know, do I want to? These are glossy. I just don't know if I want to put these in there. And so I've got music pages, I have magazine pages, and I have map pages. So this is kind of like my bundle of pages that I'm going to use to decorate my book with. I think I'm going to opt out. So let me go ahead. I am going to go fill this with just hot water. I'm not going to boil anything. I'm just going to have it hot water. So let me go do that. Okay, guys, so here's what we have now. I have my journal stew going, and it's hot water. I didn't have boiling water, which you could. I don't think it, makes any difference, but I have all my tea bags in there, and I've tried to push the paper down further on top of the fabrics, and hopefully the fabrics kind of just weigh it down. Try to get my tea bags tucked under there, and then let the fabric push the paper down because I don't want it to come up. But what I'm going to do is I think I'm just going to let this sit overnight, and I'm going to put my lid on it, let it sit overnight, and let's see what we have the next day. Okay, so it's been about 24 hours, and this is the result that we have in our junk journal stew. So I am just going to take out all my fabrics here, and I'm just going to lay them out on, I just have a towel down here on my table. I would probably let these outside if it was nice and sunny. But it is not sunny today, and I am not doing it during the middle of the day, so we're just going to let it air dry. But that turned out really good. That's a nice grungy one. I like that. So I'm thinking of just letting the paper, oh, that turned out, that's what I was hoping for. Oh, that's some of the, that's on the fabric actually. What is that? That's kind of cool. What did that come from? Huh, that wasn't there. It's like the lettering showed up only when it got dyed. That's interesting. That wasn't there before. That's kind of cool. But I'm just going to let it all air dry out here on my towel. So here is what I'm thinking is going to be the best, just to leave these for maybe a day out before I attempt to unwind them, because I think they're going to be way too fragile and they're just going to start tearing. So I'm just going to kind of squeeze them out a little bit, leave everything tied together, and just let them, you know, take a day and dry. And then I'll unfold them. And depending on how wet they still are, I may have to, you know, just dry them out in the oven or lay them outside. Stitch is trying to help. But I'm just going to squeeze most of the water out, and I'm just going to let them sit like this for another day. So this is a process. It's going to take a while. We're already on day 2, but we'll save our tea bags. Those might work for something too, but so far it's looking really nice and grungy. Interested to see how far, if the dye has soaked all the way through. And I think that's it. Did I have 1, 2, 3, 4? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 signatures. Yeah, and then this was just the, that was just the randomness. Okay, well there we go. So now, move that out of the way so you can see here. I'm just going to leave these sit as they are. I'm going to kind of just lay my fabrics out too. Those turned out really good. I'm liking the tea dye. We'll just kind of loosely let these lay out for a day. I'm going to let these especially dry on their own before I start unwinding. Otherwise, I have a feeling we're just going to get, whoops, we're just going to get tears all over. But those turned out really good. I like my fabrics. Okay, and my papers are looking really grungy. So next step, we will let dry. We'll be back to unwind. Okay guys, so I am on day 3 of this process of getting all my papers and fabrics and everything prepared. I had soaked them in the tea solution. Here's all my tea bags. And so I'm going to empty these out, and I can probably use those too in the making of this journal. All my fabrics have dried now, along with all my paper bundles, and I didn't untie them. Like I said, I was just going to let them dry. But look at how grungy they're starting to look. I mean, already, before I haven't even undone any of the bundles. But this is exactly the look I was going for, that really grungy. The sides are worn looking, so I'm hoping when I unfold them that they still look really great. So all my fabrics are dry, and they're looking nice. But this is the coolest thing. Check this out. On this one here, they must have, when they were making this, this was like a curtain piece, used like a washable marker, and you couldn't see it on the white fabric, but when it got tea dyed, you can see all of the writing. I thought that was so cool. That is really neat. I know they have fabric markers. There must have been some there too of some kind, but I know they have fabric markers that you can, you know, write on, and then you wash them, and then it goes away. But I thought that was really cool that that came through on the tea dye. So the exciting part, let's get into some of these bundles. Maybe I can use some of the string too, so maybe I won't cut all of the string off. But now some of these I think might be a little damp yet. Like I said, they're a little damp. They're mostly dry. I'd say about they're 90% dry. Ugh, I'm loving it. I was wondering if this was going to turn out good or not, because I wanted the lines to stay, and they did. So look at that. Now let's see what, oh, that looks cool. I'm liking all the wrinkles, the tears, the really aged coloring. Oh, I think this is going to be cool when we start putting this together. Okay, so that's a signature. Super cool. I might try to flatten it out just a little bit. It'll flatten out once it's in the book. Once I start, you know, if I bind it and start putting other things on top of it, it'll start to flatten out. So now this one, I just folded it in a different way. I was just trying to see if I could get some different designs. Didn't do them any different, just folded them. So, might be able to use some of that string. So now I'm hoping, now I let this soak in that water, in the tea water for, you know, a good 24 hours. And it still amazes me though that like it doesn't soak all the way through. Oh, that's cool. It even got some of the lines of the twine on it. Okay, super cool. I love that. I'm loving how this is turning out. I like how aged it looks. And I know it's taken a few days to get it here, but I think this is going to be really cool. So let's just keep going, try to get all these undone here so you can see what it's going to look like. And then we can start building the journal, but I wanted you guys to see the end result of this washed and worn look. I'm kind of excited too that it's working with this just the regular like notebook paper, because like I said, I need to find a way to use some of this lined paper. That is so cool. I love all the variations and all the wrinkles. And if you don't like the wrinkles, I bet if I iron it out, sorry, excuse me. I bet if I iron it out, it'll get rid of some of those wrinkles. But I am kind of trying to go for this really grungy look. Like I said, just put some heavy books on it. That'll probably flatten it out too. Let's keep going. This is like opening presents. It's like, what are you going to get? My edges have, this is where I scraped them with the scissors. If you can see those, it's kind of peeling up here and there. Totally loving it. So it didn't get super dark on the inside, but that's kind of cool because it just looks like aged paper, like naturally aged paper. I don't know that the camera's picking it up very well, but it is all relatively dark. It definitely has lost its white, pure white look to it. I just love this, where it got it soaked in there a little bit heavier. Super cool. These pages are neat too, like where it's the back side of it. And if I don't like how just the outsides are dark, I can take the signature apart and move my pages around so that it looks a little bit more variated. I don't have to keep it in this exact same order, but if I do that, then my folds and everything aren't going to match up. But, I mean, this is just a experiment. We're just trying, seeing what we get. Really like when it gets dark in between the folds there. Well, I think that was a success. I really like how grungy that is looking. So now I just need to get it to flatten out a little bit. But that's some really good base for our journal. Now this was just all the offcuts, the scrap pieces, and I just folded them all together just to get some little scraps, see what we got here. This was the one that I thought was crazy, how I just put the whole thing in there and it didn't even it didn't soak through all the papers. Because you can see some of them are very uncolored yet. Like here, it's like it didn't even get dyed. It's amazing. The edges all got dyed. It's like I already inked everything. That's kind of cool though, because now it's like, oh, I don't have to ink. Well, I got a bunch of cool scraps. I'm sure we could make something with that. Interesting, a little notebook, tearaway notebook, something. Anyway, figured I would do that. So there we go. I am going to call that a success on our junk journal stew. So I hope you guys like this process of how we're going to get here. And now we'll start putting the journal together. So I'm going to go lay my signatures under something heavy. I think I'm just going to put a couple books on top to flatten it out a little bit. Like I said, I don't want to flatten it out too much, but maybe just a little. And then we'll work on putting the journal together. Hope you guys enjoy this video. Go get your paws dirty and get crafty. and I will see you later. Bye.